Shyamaran, Shyam, Jadurani of Shyamaran. In fact, not more than 15. You understand?
First, I offer my unlimited obeisances and just at the lotus feet of my Prabhu Maharaja to my Guru Padapara. Mitchalila Vishnu Vishnu Pada, Astosis Shri Srila Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And the same unlimited obeisances and just at the lotus feet of my Prabhu Maharaja to my Guru Padapara. Om Vishnu Pad, Astosis Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. To all of our Guru Varga and all the assembled devotees. When I first met Srila Gurudev in 1992, he gave me quite a surprise in explaining what is the essence of our Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And I even challenged him and asked, where does it say that our Srila Prabhupada came for the same mission as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which was also a surprise to me when I met Srila Gurudev in 1992. I said, where does it say that? Immediately he said, it comes from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila chapter 1 and chapter 4. Anarpika Chiring Charat Kurunaya Vitirnam Kalo, Samarpaitam Unat Odvalarasam Svabhakti Sriyam. Hari Purita Sundaram Dutikadamba Sandipikaha Sada Hridaya Kundare Puritava Sachinandanaha. That is, our Srila Prabhupada being the embodiment of Gaudavani Pracharane. That is, he came to give the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what are the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? There are certain verses which are the essential verses which describe his entire mission, and whole books are based on that particular slok. For example, the Mangalacharanam slok, main Mangalacharanam slok of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which all the rest of the 17 volumes explains, is this verse in Arpita Chiring Charat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give what no other incarnation or acharya ever gave before in this day of Brahma. In the previous day of Brahma, this teaching was given by the same Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And our Srila Prabhupada is Gaudavani Pracharane. Srila Gurudev gave 2 lectures in his last tour in Holland and Alachua. What is the meaning of Gaudavani Pracharane? So one verse that explains this is this verse in Arpita Chiring Charat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give what no other incarnation or acharya ever gave before, except the previous day of Brahma, when Mahaprabhu himself gave it, and that is Unat Ojvalasam Svabhakti Priyam, Svabhakti Sriyam. That is, he came to give, as Gurudev said this morning, the service of Srimati Radharani in Parakiya Bhav, in Unat Ojvalaras. There are 2 kinds of Unat Ojvalaras. One is, and they're both Parakiya Ras. One is the direct relationship with Krishna, and that is called Kamatmika, Kamanuga, Sambhodhatmika Bhakti. And that is the service of Srimati Radhika, Lalita, Vishaka, and so on. Then that Unat Ojvalarasam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not come to give. He did not come to give the service that Srimati Radharani herself gives, but he came to give a great treasure. Srila Prabhupada translates the word Shriyam as treasure, but a treasure chest is usually known to be locked. So Srila Prabhupada's books are also locked up, and one requires the pure devotee, another pure devotee, who has the key to unlock that treasure chest. I once came for a Manashiksha class in Mathura that Srila Gurudev was giving in English in 1994. That day, I didn't know it, but the class was called off, and Gurudev was just speaking to some Hindi-speaking devotees. When I came, I spent an hour traveling to get there, so he felt he had to say something to me to make that trip worthwhile, since I wasn't going to get a class. So one sentence he said was like a million classes. He said, so now I've given a shovel to dig deeply into Srila Prabhupada's books. So this word Shriyam, which Prabhupada puts as his word-for-word synonyms, treasure, when you unlock that treasure chest, you find, by Srila Gurudev's mercy, that Shriyam means Sobam, or beauty. The beauty of the creeper, which winds around the tree, is its leaves and fruits and flowers. The creeper is Srimati Radhika, and the tree is Krishna. And the service to Srimati Radhika doesn't have the beauty without its beauty. And what is the beauty? The beauty is the leaves, fruits, and flowers, which are Srimati Radhika's assistants in her service in Parakya Bhav to Sri Krishna, and that is her sakis and her manjaris, or maidservants. Srila Gurudev gives the example of a bee. The bee goes onto the flower to relish the honey in the flower, and the bee will not sit on the stamen or the manjari of the flower because it's always moving. So Krishna sits, or he enjoys amorous affairs with Srimati Radhika, and that is one kind of Ujjvala Ras. But the other kind, Tat Tat Bhava Ichtatmika, is the kind that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give the fortunate jivas. And that is that stamen or manjari on top of the flower, which has no interest. It's always going back and forth, saying no, no. No interest in a personal relationship with Krishna, but only desiring to assist Srimati Radhika and getting their full pleasure in the meeting of Srimati Radhika. When there's distress of Srimati Radhika in her separation from Krishna, then they're also feeling distressed. And when Srimati Radhika is in a superior position, or when they're meeting, or when she's defeated Krishna, then they also feel successful in their life. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this. Another essential verse of Gauravani, which our Srila Prabhupada embodies, Gauravani Pracharane, is Araju Bhagavan Brajesha Kanayas Tadhama Vrindavana. That is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching that our Arajdev is Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Brajesha Kanaya. It's not Dwarkadish, it's not Matharesh, it's not Lord Narayan, but it's Brajesha Kanaya, the son of Nanda Baba, the son of Nanda Maharaj and Jashamati Nandan. And Brajesha Kanaya Kadama Vrindavanam. And his abode is equally worshipable. Then, Araja Bhagavan Brajesha Kanayas Kadama Vrindavanam. Ramya Karchid Upasana. The Upasana, or the worship of the Brajramanis, or the young gopis, is the highest means of worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our Prabhupada, in fact, used the word kalpita, manufactured. They manufactured something, but because they are the supreme knowers of Krishna, being the highest bhaktas, and as Krishna told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, I am only known by unalloyed bhakti. As I am standing before you, I can only be understood by unalloyed bhakti. The bhakti of the gopis, and particularly Srimati Radhika, is the highest, and therefore their so-called manufacturing is absolute reality, because they know best Krishna, his moods, better even than he knows himself, and they know how to worship him. Where is the evidence for this? The evidence is in Srimad Bhagavatam. Ramya Karchi Vipasanam Vrajavadu Vargena Jakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam. And the best evidence for this is Srimad Bhagavatam, where Krishna himself tells the gopis that I have no capacity to repay you. Your activities themselves will have to be its own payment. Krishna says in the Gita that as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. But Krishna told the gopis, I have no capacity to reward you accordingly. I'll always remain indebted to you. Even if I try for a day of Brahma, I won't be able to repay my debt to you. So the evidence is Srimad Bhagavatam. Then, whose opinion is this? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam. This is his idea, his opinion. Ta Chadaro Naparam. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, I have no other interest in anyone else's opinion than the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His other essential teaching is taught to us by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Dasamula Shiksha. That is, this is the teaching that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to the jivas, that Sri Krishna is the absolute truth. He's the embodiment of all Shaktis, all powers, and the reservoirs of all rasas. There's two kinds of living entities, those who are conditioned and those who are liberated. The conditioned souls turning away from him and the liberated souls turning towards him. This material world, this anajiva, is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord. The means to reach the ultimate goal of life is sadhana bhakti, and the goal of life is prema bhakti. These are the essential teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the fortunate jivas. So our Srila Prabhupada, being Gauravani Pracharane, this is what he came to give us, the same thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us, because our Srila Prabhupada's heart is one with the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna, who came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to become one with the heart of Srimati Radhika. That is our Srila Prabhupada.
Can you tell who made these two sloks about Swamiji? Your disciples of Swamiji, can you tell who made this originally? Can you? Who did? You are all senior devotees of Swamiji. Himself, really. All requested him that we want a pranam mantra like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pristhaya. And they requesting, at least he has to make it. Anyone, disciples are not so much qualified to do this. So, mercifully he did. Mercifully he did. He was very great learned scholar. Like knowing all Siddhanta. So I know that he had done really. You heard his object, Gauravani. What is Gauravani? Oh, she explained it. That I told in a lecture or anywhere, I don't remember. So, Gauravani Aradho Bhagavan Brajesh. This is called by you. And also Anarpit Charimachya. And one slok Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Amnaya Praha Tattvam Bhariniya Paramam Sarva Shakti Vishnu. This is called by Govinda Prabhupada. Can you explain and glorify how your Gurudev very quickly, in a couple of years, he preached about entire world very quickly. And what is the essence of his teachings? Very quickly.
He preached it more quickly than I did.
He was so many years serving his Gurudev and his Senior. So I told him.
Like Narada, when Narada left his home, his mother had passed away, he was anxious, he had had good Sangha. And so he was, in that Sangha he was inspired. So he went and he finally came to meditate, and because of his inspiration and the sadhu Sangha he had, immediately he had the vision of God. But something strange happened, that vision disappeared immediately. So he wanted to refocus and have more of that same thing. His heart was becoming anxious. And then he said to him, the Lord said, there's a reason that I'm doing this, like playing cat and mouse. Etat kamayate. It means I'm doing this just to increase your hankering. So, and in the same way, that mood of hankering, beginning there in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and extending all the way up to the things that Shamarani Didi just mentioned in the 10th canto, Ras Panchadhyaya of Srimad Bhagavatam. The entire purpose is to increase the hankering for Krishna Rati Bhav Prem. Like Mahaprabhu said, Nayanam Galadashudaraya Gadgada Rudhaya Gira Vadanam Gadgada Rudhaya Gira Nichitam Vapukada Tavanam Grihane Bhavishyati. Always Mahaprabhu was wondering, when will tears flood my face when I chant Harinam? And when will my voice get choked and I can't even speak anymore when trying to chant? When will the hairs stand on my body? So in this way, it's like the benchmark that all our acharyas have given to measure Krishna consciousness. Like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Punibolu Tibo Harinama Rasa Namarasya Mati Hoibo Vishvas. The same thing. When will I have this deep taste for the nectar of the holy name of Krishna? But he also, in the same verse, gave the secret how to have it. Rasara Rasika Charana Parash. By touching the feet of those who are Rasara Rasika, who can taste, who are expert in tasting the transcendental mellows themselves. By touching their feet, I will know how to hanker for the same thing. So, by injecting this mood in the hearts of so many of us, our Srila Prabhupada, like like a dispensary, gave out so many packets of medicine, packets of sweets. Like maybe after the pravachan tonight, Maharaj will give out some sweets. In the same way, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj gave out sweets everywhere. And some had some sukriti, or maybe no sukriti, but somehow or other they were able to taste through no qualification. So like that he came and picked up so many of us. And also I wanted to say that he gave the secret, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur in that verse. Srila Prabhupada gave the same secret. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Vai Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Prem Janme Teno Punak Mukhya Anga. He said that the association with sadhus is like an electrical current. Srila Prabhupada always gave this example of a powerhouse and a plug. The powerhouse is Krishna and Parikar. But the plug is the pure devotee who preaches Krishna Bhakti everywhere. So you can plug anywhere into that. Here in this room we can plug in and get the same power as the powerhouse. Here in this room we can plug in and get the same power as the powerhouse. So Srila Prabhupada also gave the principle of Tad Anuragi Jananugami, that by the association of those who are Rasararasika, who can actually taste the sublime mellows of Krishna Bhakti in the mood of Braj, then those pure devotees are like the plugs where we can tap into the power source and get that pure Krishna Bhakti ourselves. Thank you.
Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunamilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyaeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo Namo Mahapadandaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Vishena Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadavaktaya Namo. You have heard about the object and mission preached by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. He had not told anything new, only English word new. But he did translate. Translation of the words told by Sri Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Hindi line, Narottam Thakur, Jagannath Das Bhagavan Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. He had never established anything new. You know that Krishna consciousness is what? No, he is. What he has named his mission. This is not new thing. Or something, same way in the Buddha. The spirit, the mission, the object is same. But he has told in English. I have told you so many times that Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, Sukadeva Goswami, or they are original members of ISKCON. Any member of ISKCON cannot depreciate or cannot fall down. Never, never. Who is really Krishna consciousness? It will do more it may be. So, these are the members, genuine members of ISKCON. Can any member of ISKCON can fall down or depreciate? They can never. Narada, Vyasa, Sukadeva Goswami said, up to Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, your Gurudev, my Shiksha, he is ISKCON, he cannot fall down. So any member falling down or depreciating, they were never member of ISKCON. Never and never. And they will be no. They are Nitya Siddha. But anyone can try to be member by practice and following them. We heard the mission of Srila Swamiji was same as in Goswami and our discipline line. The essence of all that, जीवेर स्वरूप है नित्य कृष्ण दास. Whether we know or not know, whether we accept or not, but स्वरूपेते सकलेर है गोलोकेर स्थिति. Whether anyone accept or not, but in real, the constitutional position of all the Jeev, they are servant of, Nitya servant of Krishna. Unfortunately, by any special reason, we, some of them, have depreciated like that. We are depreciated. Not from Golok Vrindavan, but really from borderline. That is Tatastha position, not from Golok. Anyone going to Golok, how they can return back to this world? They can. Jagadatva Nami Vartante Tadham Paramam. And that is why it is Paramdha. Why? So Devi Dham, Swarga, Tapolok, after that Brahmalok, from Devi Dham, Mohini Lok, oh, anyone can return back. But in that Dham, who is Param Dham, Param, who is Param? Supreme. Like Krishna, no difference between his Dham and him. So Param Dham, so anyone can appreciate from that land. So, but anyhow, we are from marginal line. We have forgotten. So, to remind you, Krishna himself comes. His sense is representatives. Sometimes it comes in Ram form, Nrsimha form and other form. To remind us that you must back to God and back to Him. Back to God and your home is there. So, how to go? How to go there? That was his mission or object. So we should try to follow him. So in the conclusion, we know that in our constitutional form, position, we are all Nitya servant, eternal servant of Krishna. We cannot be happy in this world, this related world. You cannot. By any position, by money, by position, for anything, you cannot. So, we know that we should practice Bhakti Yoga. Without practicing Bhakti Yoga, you cannot attain that original constitution position. Never and never. So, mercifully Krishna had manifested Srimad Bhagavatam. That is authority, more than Vedas and Upanishad and Purana. So, all the Goswami books have come from that very Srimad Bhagavatam. In each and every line of Srimad Bhagavatam, all this transcendental Siddhant has been given. Savai Punsam Paro Dharmo Jato Bhakti Adukhaje Ahe Tukya Apriyatata Ya Bhakti Purushottame Bhakti. But what is that Bhakti? We should know. It is not any speculation of mind. Nothing. In Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially Rupa Goswami has told, by the inspiration of Sri Chaitanya. Really, this slok of Bhakti is from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He inspired him in Prayag, and after that he inspired in Jagannath. And he requested his all associates to be merciful, to sprinkle mercy on Rupa Goswami, so that he can know by heart and he can get to this world. So Rupa Goswami has written, Anya Vilasita Sundam Gyan Karmadhyanapitam Anukullena Krishna Anusilanam Bhakti Ruttama. Or what is the meaning? Stand. I want that all should know this is true. If he cannot remember, but the essence of this sloka should be remembered always. And try to follow this sloka. Then bhakti will come.
As Srila Gurudev has mentioned, there are various verses in the scriptures which are describing the glories of bhakti. Srila Gurudev has mentioned the verse, Savayapam Saparodama.
More louder.
Yato bhakti rakhochade. That the supreme occupation of all activities, of all persons, is to render devotional service to the Lord. And such devotional service should be ahoituki and apatirtha. It should be causeless, without motivation, and it should be uninterrupted. So, though this verse, this is describing very clearly what is Uttama Bhakti, but still, Srila Rupa Goswami, he has described one verse, which is in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is said to be the emperor verse describing what is Uttama Bhakti. Anyadilasita sunyam gyana kama anapitam anukulyena krishnanu shrivam bhakti vidima. That the cultivation of all activities of the body, mind, words, but most importantly of the moods, which are directed towards the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, which are not covered by fruitive activities, means that we have to perform activities. We have to perform karma. But these activities should not in any way be a hindrance to our performance of bhakti. That it should not be covered by gyan, knowledge. Means that it should not be covered by any type of impersonal knowledge. And in a higher sense, for those who have achieved the higher realms of bhakti, then Aishvarya Gyan, knowledge of the opulences and supremacy of the Lord, should not cover one's mood in Madhurya Gyan or Shuddha Bhakti. And also the mystic desire for mystic attainment, mystic cities, that these should not cover one's bhakti. That the bhakti should be flowing like a stream of honey, unbroken. And in all circumstances, it should be favorably disposed for the pleasure of Krishna. So when such bhakti is continuous, unbroken, and without any hindrance, then it is said to be Uttama Bhakti.
Stand up and clear more in your words. I ask anyone whether lady devotees or well devotees also be prepared to explain all top to bottom. I may tell anyone last point. Yes, yes, sir. Don't fear. And I believe very soon, tomorrow you should make a drama play. Very attractive and with good teachings.
Everything is an emanation of Krishna simultaneously. The same as Krishna, yet distinct.
Not working?
Not so well.
Also you should take. It is the effect of your.
So, all of our emotions, all of our relationships, everything that we do is actually an emanation from Krishna. It can be in one of two worlds, either in the world inhabited or controlled by Yogamaya, which is Krishna's internal potency, or Mahamaya, which is Krishna's external potency. We find ourselves inhabiting a world full of joy, of sorrow, and relationships. In this world, which is a reflection of the spiritual world, Srila Rupa Goswami came and described that the culmination of all human activities, which is art, which is love, which is satisfaction, happiness, and intimacy. Srila Rupa Goswami gathered all of these things together and said, these things aren't the property of mundane poetry. These aren't the property of mundane theatrics or the property of mundane relationships. Srila Rupa Goswami reclaimed all emotional property, happiness, sadness, anger, frustration. He reclaimed all of these things for Sri Krishna. This verse is saying that in all of our relationships, in everything that we do, everything that we say, everything that we think, in an unbroken stream, like honey, everything that we do should be in relationship to please Sri Krishna. There should be no other goal in our life and no other goal in every single action in our life except to please Sri Krishna, to make Krishna happy. In doing this, he mentions two things, karma and jnana. Karma is activity. I had a really beautiful experience in Mathura with my dear godbrother, Radhanath Prabhu. Probably many of you have had your feathers ruffled by Radhanath Prabhu. Radhanath Prabhu and I were massaging Gurudev every day. And Gurudev we'd come and he would ask us to recite a sloka. So this was the sloka that he wanted us to learn. So we came in and we recited the Sanskrit and he asked us to give the meaning of the sloka. So he asked me first, and I started giving him meaning. I said, we should not perform actions. And he said, what actions? Srila Gurudev said, you have to breathe? Yes, I have to breathe. So you have to eat? Yes, I have to eat. You have to think? Yes, I have to think. So what is the meaning of not performing action? The meaning of this is that we should not perform any action that obscures or interferes with our connection to Krishna. This is the meaning of action devoid of this propensity. Satisfying our senses. Satisfying the nature of the world, what people say we should do. The other aspect is knowledge. That was karma. This is jnana, knowledge. So we have to think. Do you have to think clearly? Yes, I have to think. Do you have to use your conceptions of not walking into the street when there's cars coming? Yes, we do. The idea is that when intellectual speculation or when knowledge interferes with the understanding that Sri Krishna is so sweet, so wonderful, and so genuine. He's the first. He and Srimati Radhika are the prototypical human beings. The reason why you have two ears and a nose and a mouth is because of Srimati Radhika and Krishna. The reason why there's trees grow in this world, the reason why there's animals, everything comes from Vrindavan. Everything has been exported from Vrindavan. Srila Rupa Goswami has come to this world to show that yes, these are exported from this Dham. They have their source there. So don't do anything in this world that obscures your relationship with Krishna and your love for Sri Krishna. This is the conception that I have of this particular shloka of Sri Rupa Goswami.
Oh, but what is the meaning? Anukullena Krishnanusam. You have not defined. Anukullena Krishnanusam. You define Annabhilashta. Yeah. But what is the meaning?
That all of our actions should be pleasurable for Krishna. Tell him understood. So there's intrinsic meaning to the verse and an extrinsic meaning to the verse. The intrinsic meaning to this verse is that all of our actions should be pleasurable for Krishna. What?
Not favorable, because jnana and mustic, they please him, they just have desire.
Our godbrothers and sisters and uncles and aunts and are mentioning this concept of Chandur and Mushtik. Chandur and Mushtik were two wrestlers in the arena of Kamsa that tried to kill Krishna. So Krishna had a mood of heroism, a mood to fight. So in order to fulfill Krishna's desire, these two wrestlers went out to try to kill Krishna and try to kill Balaram. Seemingly, this was pleasurable to Krishna. But Srila Rupa Goswami was pointing out that because these two wrestlers desired to kill Krishna, this actually was not pleasurable for Krishna. It was not favorable for Krishna, for their Krishna consciousness. Most importantly, I think that the reason was this is not favorable for our Krishna consciousness. Because if Krishna were to, and how would he fulfill the rest of his pastimes? So, Srimati Yasoda, for example, Srimati Yasoda scolded Krishna. She bound Krishna to a mortar and made Krishna cry and calls Krishna names. And seemingly, this is not pleasurable for Krishna. Krishna is upset. But in actuality, she is increasing Krishna's love. Her relationship with Sri Krishna is born of intimacy. And in that, she pulls Krishna closer and increases Krishna's happiness.
Thank you. So, Srila Rupa Goswami has explained what is Uttama Bhakti. From this word, Uttama Bhakti, as Rupa Goswami has told in this sloka, then there should be Madhyama Bhakti, Kanishta Bhakti. It may be like some mixture of bhakti, of Gyan, Karma, Yoga, Tapasya. So it has been told, Uttama Bhakti means pure Bhakti or Shuddha Bhakti. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur has told in Tattva Vivek that there are something resembling to Bhakti, but not really Bhakti. We do so many things in the name of Bhakti. Bhagavat kahta paripurna chale dharma projyat kaito atkar parmo nirmasaranam satam. In this world, relative world, there are so many things in the name of dharma which are not really dharma. They are what? Cheating dharma. Not pure dharma. They are cheating. So something we do in the name of bhakti, really not bhakti. Anyone can follow Shuddha Bhakti in the stage of Madhyam, Uttam or Uttam stage. Uttam Bhagavata stage. Not really in Kanishta. And those, I know that so many are that even no Kanishta. No Kanishta. They have no conception of real Bhakti, Uttama Bhakti. But we do. Why do? Oh, not good association. Gurudev gave mantra. And he was trying to develop us, our heart. But at that time, we could not follow. So sometimes, Rupa Goswami has collectively divided thousands and thousands kinds of bhakti. Or tamasic bhakti, rasic bhakti, sattvic bhakti, nirgun bhakti, karma mishra bhakti, gyan mishra bhakti, yoga mishra bhakti. So many. These are not pure bhakti, uttama bhakti. Uttama bhakti, like Mother Jasoda, even chastising Krishna, Krishna weeping, but it is more than uttama bhakti. You know that to defeat anyone is not good for that defeated person. He will be. But Krishna was defeated by his friends and he was smiling and telling what? I have defeated you. You have not defeated. My nose is up. Like tricky. Love it. So, Krishna, by what? Our service he will be so happy. And the mood of our mood should be that we should serve Krishna. That mood. This mode should not be like to kill Krishna and to Krishna. This should be there. That is why it has been told Anukullena. Anukullen means what? Favorable. It should not be unfavorable like his example. Charla and Mustik and Skans and others. They were not favorable. But anyhow Krishna was very happy by wrestling. And Mother Jashoda frightened him. And Krishna was eating. But yet it is Uttama more than Uttama Bhakti. So, it should not be favorable. Unfavorable. But this is not this symptom of Bhakti more. Whole symptom. What? Anusilanam Bhakti. Anything cannot, like any flower, any tree at the time of Krishna. They cannot serve Krishna. Krishna can come on the shade of trees and he can take some fruits from it. And thus he can take service from them. Anything more, whether he is unfavorable, but whether his action is to serve Krishna or not, this is the main thing. So, Anusilam, all kinds of endeavor, by body, mind, by words, by bhav, keeping aside unfavorable things, always in bhav, like unbroken string of honey. This. Now, this is like a barometer, measuring scale. You can take it and give a scale in your heart, whether or bhakti is pure or what. Reply at once it will come. Your moods are like Mother Jashoda, Sakha, or gopis, unbroken in day and night, 24 hours, without break. You take milk for Krishna or yourself. You should take your milk for Krishna. But how it can? You are sleeping. You should sleep for Krishna, not for you, but you are sleeping for yourself. Gopis sleeping and they are walking. Everything for Krishna. So try to be like that. Try to involve all your energy to please Krishna in favorably or unbroken stream. Then it will be bhakti. But Srila Rupa Goswami has told that this is Uttama Bhakti. In Siddhavastha. Siddhavastha, you know what is? For them it has been told, we cannot. When you will come in a Rati state, then you can do something like Bharat. But Bharat, being in the Rati state, and he was deviated. For 3 lifetimes. He left everything. Like a stool. In the age of half age. And that way, of age was 50,000 years age. He left home. And he came in forest. Anyhow, he had some affection from a big deer. And death came at that time. And he was remembering, oh dear, and he became deer. So after that, Rati stage, we have some chance to fall down. So very careful. So, we should not do like Bharat Maharaj. His action what was? Sattvic Daya. Daya means? Sattvic. But he was deviated. So don't have any attraction or attachment, very good word, attachment to anyone. Vanity devotees, pure devotees, and Krishna, Mahaprabhu, Nityananda. Be always alert and careful for this. When one comes to me, devotees, oh, Maharaj, be merciful to this child, that my child should be happy. Why? Some attachment. Those are things, but not good. Oh. We will support and nourish as a kartavya, as a duty boy. But don't be attached to anyone. Only attachment will be with Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Krishna and Radhika, and the associates of Krishna. Swarup Goswami has divided bhakti into 3 parts. Swarup Siddha Bhakti. Swarup Siddha Bhakti. Then Sangha Siddha. And then Arup Siddha. What is Arup Siddha? You.
The word arup means attribution or superimposition. When we're engaged in a certain activity for our own pleasure, but we're offering the results to Krishna so that Krishna himself will give us pleasure, so that he'll be pleased to please us with material fulfillment of our material desires. But I'm attributing or superimposing the word bhakti on my activity. This is called arup siddha bhakti. For example, I may be interested in arts and crafts. I may like to sew clothing, and I may like to play with dolls. So I worship the deity because it gives me pleasure to make clothing. And I'm also thinking that Krishna, by seeing this activity, which already pleases me, will give me more pleasure and peace and prosperity in this world.
Any Gita shloka can you quote?
Sarvadhamam parichaja? No. Yeah, whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, should be done as an offering to me. But the problem with that is that I'm thinking that it's mine to offer, and therefore it's not really bhakti. Bhakti, in the definition of bhakti, all my endeavors of body, mind, and words is to please Krishna, and I'm not thinking that anything belongs to me, and I'm giving it to Krishna. It's already Krishna's, and my soul is offered to Krishna.
But not Prabhu. You're so clear. No. All you should try to know. What is Arup Siddha Bhakti? And really you are doing the same or not, you should discover it. Disturb
In order to understand clearly what is Arup Siddha Bhakti, first we have to understand what is Sarup Siddha Bhakti, or the activities of pure bhakti.
More louder.
There are 64 angas of pure bhakti. Nakshravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And so many things which have been described as Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And if we perform any activity which is not in this category of 64 items of pure bhakti, and we attribute or superimpose on that activity that this is meant to please Krishna, then that is called Aropa Siddha Bhakti. Example is, we may have a very good business, like flower business, growing flowers, or having a goshala, or having a school, and we offer some of the fruits to Krishna and thinking that I am performing this activity for Krishna, but really all the profit and benefit, the position which we get from that, this is for me, in order to please me. So this is called Aropa Siddha Bhakti.
What he told? Can you? You? Yes. No. That person. I told for Indian board. Sydney board. What he told? Give attention, carefully you should hear. I told you that I can ask from anyone. Very precious 5 or 6 days. That 1 hour daily you should give me, not thinking anywhere else. This time is mine. Can you?
Yes, sir. So Prabhu was explaining that when we do bhakti, it's for the pleasure of Krishna.
More louder, please.
It's for the pleasure of Krishna only and not for our pleasure. So all our activities, as explained by Rupa Goswami, should be dedicated to please Krishna only and not ourselves.
Give your back side.
The word Anya Abhilasita means other desires which are outside of giving pleasure or activities which are favorable to Krishna, with the intent of giving pleasure to Krishna. So Aropa Siddha Bhakti has been explained as different activities. If one has an inclination to do something in this material world, whether it be art, crafts, business, whatever, and he offers the fruit of that. So that is not wholehearted surrender, Akami-Vedanam, but we're giving a part of our fruit, and we're still, the main intention is for the pleasure of our own mind and senses. So that is outside the realm of pure bhakti.
Good. Oh, teacher of Teja, Jandanandan. Tirthapada Prabhu. Tirthapada. You should be ready to explain.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in Bhakti Thakur Vivek that even more dangerous than an atheist is something in the name of bhakti that presents itself in the association of devotees. Because an atheist we can recognize right away. So Gurudev is trying to help us in our developmental stage so that we don't fall into the pitfalls of Ritvik and Babaji, all these different manifestations of things that are presenting themselves in the name of bhakti. So Uttam Bhakti means, as has been explained here, activities of the body, mind, words, accompanied by various spiritual sentiments, emotions, with the consideration of giving pleasure to Krishna. And any other consideration which may manifest in our heart becomes a Aropa Siddha Bhakti. I may be teaching a school, but if I'm enjoying the fact that we're leading with the children and I'm getting so much honor and recognition, then my activities are not devotional service. But if at every moment I'm thinking, how can I give pleasure to my Gurudev? How can I give pleasure to to Krishna, Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, then that activity becomes devotional service. It's not a question of what we're doing externally. In the Nectar of Devotion, also Srila Prabhupada mentions Krishna is not attracted by the service rendered, but it's the attitude of the devotee, what's in his heart, that Krishna is attracted to. So our cultivation is an affair of the heart. It's not by just engaging our body, our mind, and our words, but by turning over our very life to our Gurudev and present our hearts to Radha and Krishna.
This is more clear. Standing.
The term Arop-Siddha Bhakti is a definition. Arop meaning to superimpose. There are so many objects in this material world, and a devotee naturally wants to engage everything.
Or don't sleep. Or don't sleep. Like that. You should be standing like this. Very small. Don't. I will make you stand up on the bench.
Show me in France, we are in America, not in France.
So the term arop means to superimpose or to label. So there are so many objects in this material world that as devotees we want to engage them all in Krishna's service. So the tendency will be that those objects we have a natural attachment or tendency for, we will want to engage those in Krishna's service as it is very convenient to us or very pleasurable to us. So we have to be very careful that not to mistake this for pure bhakti, as this serves our own purpose other than 100% for the purpose of the pleasure and benefit of Shri Krishna.
Any example?
An example, for instance, is I like to be a farmer. I like to raise cows or grow flowers or vegetables in the garden.
School, college,
like that. So I will do that for Krishna, offer the flowers to Krishna, offer the milk for the cows to Krishna. This is good activity to enter into bhakti, but we should not mistake in this for actual Swarupa Bhakti or the intrinsic pure nature of bhakti.
Very good. In the beginning, you have to practice beginning from this. There is no other method, no option. By this Sukriti may come, association may come, and by gradually this, then Samsiddha will come, and then it may be real sadhu sang you will have, and by this you can enter in Sarvasiddha. This is the way. No other. And that is why Swamiji, your Gurudev, introduced all these things. Mainly these things. Not Sarvasiddha Bhakti. Very rare. Only Sarvasiddha Bhakti. And they thought that, by this we will go direct Golok Vrindavan, not staying, not missing or 1 minute in even Vaikuntha Dwar. Direct we will go. But, they are now where? Not in Golok Vrindavan, opposite. Where? They are in hills. Normal, especially hell low. Giving up Swamiji, pranam forever, keeping aside all his teaching. Those who are grihastha, okay, they are not depreciating anyhow, weak-hearted. But those who are insulting him, dishonoring him, but more than this, disobeying and telling him that he was not good, No. Bona fide guru even. And they are preaching for this. So they are. In hell, really they are opposite to him. And those anyhow, those have left brahmacharya ashram and they have come to family life. It is somewhat so much better. For they are following his instructions, going on. They are not so much deviated. I think they are deviated. Though those who are in a ritic system, those who are like this, from Canada, Sharanagati, and telling, no, don't name. And they are telling that, oh, he was not really bona fide guru. So, we should know that Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padashevam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Satyam, Atmanam. These are Swarup Siddha Bhakti. Among them, among the 64 limbs of Bhakti, Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Sravan, Mathura Vas, Srimurti Sadhana. सकल साधन श्रेष्ठ यही पंचांग कृष्ण प्रेम जन्माए पांचे अल्प संग. Even a very small of this Swarup Siddha Bhakti, the 5 limbs of Bhakti are very powerful, like Krishna, Sadhu Sangha, like Narad, like Sukadeva Goswami, like Rup Sanatana, like any of our disciplic guru, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada. These are most high class of limbs of Bhakti. And these are Swarup Siddha Bhakti. And among 5, but even very small parts, very small amount is done for these 5. Krishna, prema is bound to come, but only offense is their blockage. Anyhow, some offense to Gurudev, to Vaishnava, 10 kinds of offenses. Be very careful. If you are, even in Majak, Hasi, even in joking, you are making offense of any Guru Vaishnava, then it is very hard. These 5 limbs cannot do anything. But if there is no aparadha and you are continuing, very soon. What very soon? In 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 births you can attain Krishna. Even in 1,000 lives you have attended. Very soon it is. Very soon. Really, it has been told in Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma pratyatikaitavo atra parmo jnanas. Srimad Bhagavate, Mahabhagavate, Mahamune krite Ishvara Satyo Avaridya Prithvi Susmi Takhana. What is Takhana? Immediate. What is immediate? A person who is in the endless chain of birth and death from first creation. Not in this time. Before time was made. And up till now you are going. And if you are in Suddha pure bhakti, then it is really very takhana, immediately. And from Srimad Bhagavatam, from there you begin to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Takhana was begin. Don't disbelieve. 100%, more than 100%. Oh, it is true. Tat khana. But if what you are doing not in the lens of bhakti grace, and you are thinking that this is bhakti, like school for training of devotees. But you know the result, so many kidnapping and bad things were done in Swamiji started school for children, devotee children. And they were cheated and they became against of bhakti. But there is something there also. Chance to negotiate. No, if no Sravanan, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam there, are any limbs of bhakti? Only Hare Krishna, or Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam. There must be. And if all these symptoms are not there, but we to please Krishna, like you have a garden, and you are giving your whole energy in garden. In evening or morning, you go to your garden, picking up some flowers, tulsi, and some fruits of that garden, and you are giving to Thakurji in temple. And in that temple, there are pujaris, very selfish, bad nature. They don't give it to, offer it to Thakurji, they take it to their rooms. And very tasteful, very sweet. Then what is this? What is this? Silly thing? If even it is given to Thakurji, offer. But not whole. Why not you are offering yourself to Thakurji, that I am of Krishna? If you are thinking that I am of Krishna, like Gopis, like Mother Jasoda, like others, even for sadhan bhakti also, it can be used. Whatever do, to please Krishna, to Gurudev and Vaishnava. But these things are what? In the category of Arop Siddha. Bhakti is imposed there, but not clear. If you are doing nothing, Hare Krishna chanting, then Swarupa Siddha. It will be some effect. If Namapara have an event, it is destroyed by repenting and chanting regularly without disturb. Then it is so. By hearing Hari Katha, first hearing. So this is solution. So Arop Siddha Bhakti, not pure Bhakti, not in the category of Swarup Siddha. And there are so many examples for it. Be careful. Whether you are in Arop Siddha Bhakti or in Swarup Siddha, you can judge yourself. And then Samsiddha Bhakti. What is Samsiddha Bhakti? You, Madhava. Not so elaborate. Also, don't chant for you. Chant for whom? Thinking that Nama Chintamani, Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, Purna Sutta, Nitya Mukta, Abhinat Prana. So chant for Krishna, for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So, Sri Gurudev has ordered to explain Sangha Siddha Bhakti. Sangha Siddha means get perfection, Sangha means by association. If anything is not pure bhakti, but get some perfection, according to association it is called Sangha Siddha Bhakti. If I give an example, then it will be clear. Just like during initiation we are doing fire sacrifice. In fire sacrifice we are offering ingredients in the fire, like Om Gurave Swaha, Krishnaya Swaha, etc. So, for this fire sacrifice, we have to collect some bricks, some sand, cauldron, wood, ghee, etc., etc. All this, collecting all these things, actually is not bhakti.
Not fire sacrifice.
Actually it's not fire sacrifice, but they are connected with fire sacrifice. So we call it also fire sacrifice. Actually fire sacrifice is that which are offering in the fire. So similarly, in Vaishnavas there are 26 kinds of qualities. Main one is Krishnaika Saran. If you are Krishnaika Saran, then it is okay. And if with Krishnaika Saran, Krishnaika Saran means I am surrendered to Krishna only. So if this kind of propensity is there, it is good. With Krishnaika Saran, if there is other qualities like Kripalu, Apritadraha, Sakta Sarsama, etc., etc., means merciful, very, not to be always, causeless merciful, always speak truth, and always equal to everyone. If this quality with Krishnaika Saran, then the qualities which is attached with Krishnaika Saran, they are also called Sarup Siddha, Sangha Siddha Bhakti. If these qualities are there, but not Krishnaika Saran is there, then it is not Sangha Siddha Bhakti. Like in this world, there are so many type of person, their mood of goodness. They are not Krishnaika Saran. They are very merciful to others. They are speak true. They are equal to others. But their activities is not called Sangha Siddha Bhakti. If Krishnaika Saran, then other qualities is regarded as Sangha Siddha Bhakti. If not, then it is not Sangha Siddha Bhakti. So, if Sarup Siddha Bhakti is there, and it is not like Brajapur has told that Sarupata means is Sarup Siddha Bhakti is there, but it's not Sarup Siddha Bhakti. We want to get Sarup Siddha Bhakti. For this reason, we are trying at our level best to get Sarup Siddha Bhakti. Like in association of Vaishnavas, so many persons come. Some are advanced, some are less advanced, some are quite neophyte, who is not taken initiated yet. So they came and told going other place, oh, it is so much bhakti. How? Because they are also in association of Gurudev. So one is there is pure devotee. Under his guidance, if we are doing some bhakti, then it is called also Sangha Siddha Bhakti. Hare Krishna.
Jnanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurabnitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So there are many qualities that are found in the scriptures that are considered to be good qualities, like honesty and truthfulness and kindness. But by themselves, these qualities are not bhakti. However, when they become associated with a pure bhakti, then they can be called Sangha Siddha Bhakti. These qualities, which are themselves not bhakti, can attain the quality of bhakti. I wanted to point out one thing, this very interesting phenomenon that Aranya Maharaj and I were noticing in ISKCON, that Srila Gurudev has pointed out that Srila Prabhupada engaged us in so much Aropsiddha Bhakti because we were not qualified for Swarupsiddha Bhakti, and we actually didn't have any good qualities either to engage in Bhakti. We weren't very truthful, we weren't very kind, we know these things. So we were engaged in so many, and so our crooked natures were engaged in service. And when Srila Prabhupada left the world, we thought because these activities were bhakti, we went on doing them, but then they became corrupt. And Gurudev has pointed out so many discrepancies that were there. So now there's a phenomenon we've noticed in studying some speeches being given by ISKCON leaders. They're trying to stress to the devotees now that they should come to this platform, giving up Aropsiddha Bhakti and coming to Sanghasiddha Bhakti, developing good qualities, being honest in their dealings with each other and the material, with people in the material world. So they're trying to elevate. They've seen this problem that Aropsiddha Bhakti can backfire. It can backfire, can lead to degradation. So they're trying to bring good qualities into the society. But again, we should realize this is still not Shuddha Bhakti. Srila Gurudev gave very good instructions in Kartik that Bhakti is a function of Hiladini Shakti. That means Bhakti is, its intrinsic nature is that it's Radharani's own mood of serving Krishna. Everything Radharani is doing is designed for serving Krishna, and everything in the spiritual material worlds is all ultimately a manifestation of her energies, and it's coming from Radharani so that she can use it for pleasing Krishna's unlimited desires. Krishna has unlimited desires to be satisfied, and Radharani is expert at satisfying all those desires. So she has expanded herself for that purpose. So bhakti is Radharani's own mood of satisfying Krishna's desires. It's purely spiritual. It's Shuddha Sattva. There's a verse, Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, Prema Suri Angsa Samya Pak, Ruchi Bish Chitamashanya Kridaso Bhada Uchate. That this bhav, or spiritual emotion of the sprout of prem, the beginning of prem, is like the ray of sunlight which is coming from the sun of the pure devotee's heart. And when that mixes with the conditioned soul's, when that Shuddha Sattva, that pure mood, mixes with the heart of the conditioned soul, it creates different tastes, or ruchi beer, in the chittamashrina, in the heart. These three ruchis, or a mixture of tastes, are called bhav, and are the beginning of signs of prem. So actually bhakti is a pure function of the spiritual senses of the soul. They're not a function of our material mind and body and senses like Aropsiddha Bhakti and Sanghasiddha Bhakti. These are things that are performed by material body and mind and senses under the guidance of Guru. And as Srila Gurudev just pointed out, these are the beginning, because you have to start somewhere. We don't have our spiritual body and senses, so we have to use our material body, mind and senses to start service under guidance of Guru. The problem is, when we lose the guidance of Guru, we think that those things we're still doing with our mind and senses are still bhakti, then we would be misled and go down. Hare Krishna.
Question. What? Definition has been given of Swarupsiddha Bhakti, Aropsiddha Bhakti, and Sanghasiddha Bhakti. So Swarupsiddha Bhakti has been described as the 64 limbs, especially the 9 and 5. And Aropsiddha Bhakti means when somebody is not performing one of these 64 limbs of Bhakti, or 9 or 5, but is performing some activity and offering the fruits to Krishna. This is Aropsiddha Bhakti. So, how about a devotee who is not reached that stage when Ladini Shakti is coming and in performing the activity with material senses, whether Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padaseganam, etc., they're performing with their material activities and in this way or worshipping the deity, but realization is not there. So in one sense it can be said that there's a superimposition. So sometimes devotees say that this is also a Rosada Bhakti, when it's not realized. So my question is, what is the situation?
Yeah. This question is, if we perform the activities 64 angas of pure bhakti, but we are not realized, we may be somewhat influenced by chamas.
Still it is. No. It is not our Siddha, our Shams. Never. It may be tamasic, rajasic, sattvic, and so many mixture of anyavilasita, yukta, and covered with karma, dhyan and tapasya. But still it is.